always talk about the pressures of expectations. Do you feel it's right to have the pressures of expectations placed on us from women when they know we're currently not capable of fulfilling them?
Well, firstly, I think it's okay from both sides, whether male or female, to have a certain level of expectations, like basic ones, for like goals, ambitions that you expect from the person from the outset, maybe in the dating stages before you make it exclusive. That person's kind of indicated certain visions and ambitions that they have. And then obviously you, as the person who wants to help them reach those goals, you expect that throughout the course of the relationship. I think that's perfectly normal. In fact, it's healthy for the relationship. It's healthy for growth, to really push someone towards where they want to be.
So what about if that can be seen as an expectation of him because he's not meeting those standards, or he's not meeting the things that he says that, you know what, I have a passion for this, I'm deciding to go for this, and this is what I want to do. But behind it, there's no fruits or there's no work in him putting these things because, like, okay, fair enough. The first year, you started off this new company, let's say that, yeah. And after a few years, you're going to have to see some kind of growth. It may not be monetary because, businesses don't, it's not always monetary in the beginning. But I'm expecting you to have either better people skills or better client management skills or something. Let's see some growth in what you're doing. But there hasn't been any growth. Is it wrong for that woman to expect there to be a substantial level of growth or a little bit of growth?
No, I mean? So I get what you're saying. So a substantial level of growth is not bad. But I guess if we go back to the question, which is about the pressure to reach certain expectations when they're not ready at that moment in time, there can be some issues with that. So my what I would say is that first of all, the word pressure can be good because sometimes pressure can lead to some positive results, but then it can also be negative because especially if someone's not ready, if it's to do with monetary expectations, for instance, like him meeting certain financial needs and he's not ready, but he wants to, then it's not right to really be putting pressure on him. I would say one of the key things, and whether male or female, but obviously we're talking about the woman, I would say in this case, it's really good to observe someone's actions. So not necessarily what he's saying. If he's showing you that he's really trying, he's looking for work. Let's say if we're using the monetary example, he's looking for work or he really wants to elevate himself in certain areas, then definitely you as a helper, you should definitely not only just listen, but watch what he's doing and help him get to that level graciously. I know it's not always easy, but that's what can lead to a lot of disgruntled couples when they're not seeing.
Very true. But what about if, like you said, it's about seeing how he acts? Yeah. It's more about action. So what about if he feels like he is doing things, but on the outside it can be interpreted as he's not doing.
Okay. Well, what's the outside got to do with it when it's just you and your partner?
No. But on the outside, is in that's internally, that's for you. But externally, for me, as the partner, I'm not seeing observing it. Okay. I'm not seeing any progression. Do you get what I'm saying? Or I'm not seeing that you have, you are growing. Do you get what I'm saying?
Well, I think this is
that's when it gets a bit.
I think this is where you need to have clear definitions of what expectations are. Like this example you've used of a man setting up a business or a venture or project, and then there's expectation behind it from his partner. I think it's clear that communication is very key in these instances. At every single milestone in your progression or development of this project, there should be communication with your partner, spouse, friend, or whoever you may be in that terms. Communication, I think, is very, very key to voice out certain things that are happening. Not only, gains, wins, new clients, new prospects, new partnerships, but also the negative points as well. And I think drawing back to the pressures, I think the pressure in that situation is when things aren't going as well, how do you communicate those occurrences? How do you communicate those examples where maybe you've not met the expectation of your partner? What do you then do? So I think there's two sides of the coin. Firstly, a man needs to be able to be open to communicate his failings at that particular moment in time. Doesn't mean it's going to be a failure overall.
Of course.
But then secondly as well, I think from the perspective of a woman, she needs to be able to be open-minded enough to understand that, you know, he needs to communicate those things to me. How do I make myself available for him to communicate these issues? And how do I contribute towards that as well? Because I think with expectations, it's almost like, well, that's your responsibility. I have nothing to do with it. But then
I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, finish.
But then I think in the sense of it depends obviously where you are in your relationship. If you're courting, if you're, you know, engaged, if you're married, but if you're committing to be with someone, then there needs to be a commitment that I'm going to contribute towards this expectation as well.
Yeah.
That if this is my expectation of what I believe that you should be doing, how do I contribute towards that as well? It's not just I'll take a backseat and then if you can't provide, I'm going to scream at you. It's, you know, I think I think with expectations, there's this orientation that, I mean, if I use like a kind of business analogy, okay, I'm a customer. So I'm coming now and I'm wanting to acquire something. I want security. I want success. I want stability in my household. But then you need to look at it as, okay, I'm a consultant. How do I consult in this situation where I add value to both of us in this relationship, in this engagement? So I think that's where the mindset change needs to shift from being a customer, like, okay, I'm coming in, I'm going to acquire this. I want you to provide this. I'm not going to add anything to it too. Right. I'm going to consult. How do we discuss? How do we progress? And how do we advance ourselves moving forward? So
absolutely, and I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
But what about if the woman is doing that? She's making herself available in order for you to communicate your struggles in your business, for example, and she's offering some advice, but it's still there's no progression. And also, for example, let's say that we've made an agreement. Okay, so now let's talk about like bills. So we've made an agreement. We've got a house that the rent is like £1,000.
Okay.
So the woman's paying £500.
it's pretty cheap, bro.
And the guy,
That's pretty cheap. These guys must be living like
True.
1 hour commute.
let's just say,
Which country?
this is just an example,
That's pretty cheap.
So let's just say, so now that she's paying 500, he's paying 500. We have agreed that we're paying this, right? Yeah. So now, at the end of the month, woman's put down her £500. The guy has come with £350. Okay?
Why?
So let's say, because he hasn't been able to meet that. I don't know. His job wasn't able to give him enough money, or you know what I mean? Or he spent it, whatever. He wasn't able to meet that, whatever the reason is. Yeah? And it's like, okay, do you know what? Right now, I'm going to cover you for this. Yeah? Okay? It's the woman. But then it's continuous. She's going to expect her man, as the head of the home, to provide for his house. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So is it wrong for a woman to put that pressure on a man to say, babe, you know what? Yeah, you should actually be giving me this amount every single month. Is it wrong for me to expect that? Is it wrong for me to say, babe, you know what? If you cannot do this because your job's not giving you this amount, why not look for a second job?
But then let's sit down and think about this logically as an item. We've decided we want to live in a place where the rent is £1,000. We've agreed I'm going to give you 500, you'll give me 500. I've committed to giving you £500 knowing I cannot give you £500. That's not a sensible decision. That doesn't make sense going forward. Because then if I'm falling short and I know I'm going to fall short consistently month after month,
these are realistic examples, Gabriel. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, these are what some guys will do, and then they will deem it as the woman's expecting too much from him because he cannot live up to it.
So then why don't the two of you just take a step back and live within your means? You can't commit to £500. Why have you gone ahead and committed to £500?
You know, let me just interject. It depends on what's caused him to fall back on the payments. So if he's had an issue with his job, like he was saying, because obviously from the outset, he could have agreed to, you know, 500 a month in addition to what she's paying, knowing that he could meet those needs. But situations change. Like guys lose their jobs or they get pay cut or whatever it is. So that's what I was saying before. If you observe someone and you watch their actions, like if he's that kind of guy that is not trying to make a difference and trying to change his situation, do you get what I'm trying to say? Then it's right for you now to put a level of pressure on. Do you get me? Like to try and see if he can meet the expectations that he agreed to from the outset. But if he's not making any changes to change his position or get more money to meet the £500 a month, then obviously there's an issue.
Because like some women are in that situation.
Yeah.
And obviously, like being in a marriage, you don't want to. Yeah. It's like you want to have a certain level of expectations, respect for your husband, but because he's not, delivering these expectations. Now all of a sudden you've put a lower standard. You've
lowered your standards
on this man that you're meant to classify as your king.
It also depends on whose expectations they are.
Exactly. Exactly.
Someone said something. They said that in a man you can either see a king or a fool. Now, if you're looking at the king in a man, then, that means that you're looking at what he's capable of and what he could potentially do and the greater person that he could be. And therefore, like I said before, you should help him graciously to sort of meet those expectations that both of you have for each other. That you can see things in him. Maybe you might not see it yet, but their expectations.
And that's where the issue can land. Yeah. Because the only person that can get you to where you want to be is yourself. Because a woman can drive you.
True, yeah. So if you're not willing to...
Regardless, but if you don't believe or have enough confidence in yourself, you're not going to go anywhere.
No, very true.
Then maybe a woman shouldn't invest her time in that kind of man.
What about if she's married to him?
But there's certain...
this is a very naive statement.
Do you know what?
But you should have a fairer understanding of your partner before you get married to them, right?
I was going to say.
Or am I being too naive in making that assumption?
I think
absolutely not. However, I do feel like you don't know everything about your partner,
100%.
Regardless of how long you've been with them or how short you have been with them. Everyone progresses. We all grow. We all change. Environment changes. Whatever happens. Do you know what I mean? So and especially like if you've met someone from when you were younger, like they don't even know themselves. They're growing with you.
Okay.
So now you are required to do certain things. I'm required to do certain things. You cannot meet those requirements as the man. What should I do? Because of these expectations that I have for you, because what woman want good things for her dad?
Yeah, true.
What woman want good things for her dad? But if he cannot meet these requirements, why is it now the woman is the issue and she's the one who said, her expectations are too high of me. She's putting too much pressure on me. Dude, if you believed in yourself, you would be where you need to be.
But who said it's a case of belief? Maybe he does believe and he just hasn't got there yet.
Gabriel, if you believe in yourself, you're going places.
Straight away. It doesn't take time, no?
It's about intention. It's about intention. We can use the example of when a guy is like, for example, the guy's in a workplace, and he's been there for like a few years. And then it's like, okay, because men can tend to get quite comfortable. Unless you get to a point where a woman's like, okay, babe.
Another generalization.
Hey, speak for yourself.
Continue. These are all the ideas that women have of men. It's baffling. It's baffling. I swear.
Okay. So the idea is that men can get quite comfortable. Yeah?
I think men and women can get comfortable.
No, it's just men. It's just men.
Okay.
It's just men.
Okay. So if you're in a place to work for a while, so now you have got to a stage where you know the ins and outs of your job. So sometimes a woman can be like, okay, babe, you know what you're doing? You're doing really great here. How about going for this? Do you know what I'm saying? It's only when you are ready and how you believe in yourself that you're going to say, do you know what? Yes, I'm ready to move on. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Sometimes some men need to be triggered and reminded, whereas some men, regardless of the reminding, regardless of telling them, they still don't move. Do you get what I mean? So how do you work around the ones who, don't have too much confidence or self-belief in themselves, who are the head of the home? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, it's a challenging one, really, to be honest with you. But I think it boils down again to communication. If someone...
What if he's a communicator? Sorry.
Like, if... Relax. Let me land. Let me land. When you start jumping. Yeah. So I think it boils down to communication once again. I think communication is one of the key factors in any relationship, regardless if it's business, personal, family, domestic, it's communication. So for me, how I look at the word expectation, it's their goals in essence. It can be a synonym, could be goals. So my expectations are my goals of you, of me, of us. So in order to get my expectation of what I believe you should be doing and what we should be doing, we need to communicate. So if a man has been in a position in the company for X amount of years or months, and he has the capabilities to progress, whether it's to get headhunted or move to another company or look for an internal promotion, yes, he needs to know his own value to be able to go and ask for that, or to be able to work towards that and be acknowledged to get that position in the first place. But I think it's the role of his partner to be able to encourage him as well, to communicate and to pour encouragement into him for him to feel confident enough to go out and, be fruitful and to go out and seek that progression in the career, which is obviously going to have a benefit in the household. So I think there's two ways you can go about it, as Yemi mentioned, obviously looking at a man as a king, or what was the other?
Fool.
As a fool. That is a very strong word.
That
is a very strong word.
Big fool.
That is a very strong word. And I think the perception is key. If you're invested in someone, if you're married to someone, you've made a confidence in this person that we're richer for poorer, for in sickness and health, that we are going to get through it. And I think the key thing there is the consistency of encouraging that person, regardless. There's a saying, you need to do what's right, even if it feels wrong. And many a times you can be in a situation, as you said, there's financial pressures. We're not meeting expectations or bills, or maybe there's certain things you want to do as a family, go on holiday, whatever it may be. These things, they need to be communicated, because if a woman has an expectation of, we're going to go on holiday every quarter, we need to have 2 cars, the house needs to be paid for, we need to have this savings, we need to have this investment, this portfolio of things. But then the man is like, well, I'm trying to, I'm just trying to keep our heads above the water. You need to communicate that, because, you can't go with your expectation and expect your husband to be a mind reader. Like, it doesn't work. You need to sit down, have conversations. And sometimes you need to do those things outside of the house, doing it in an environment where no one, there isn't tension, So I think these key things are very, very important. And I think it's, you're not really taught these things. It's almost like parenthood. You're just in it in the deep end. And as much marriage counseling as you go to, as many peers and advisors as you really have to work it out for yourself. So I guess the key question there is, what are my expectations? What is influencing my expectations? Are my expectations influenced by my parents? Are they influenced by my peer group? Are they influenced by my workplace? Because many a times your friends will influence your expectation of who your husband should be, or who your spouse what it should be and what it should be doing.
Yes, definitely.
So I think we have to look at what is really influencing my expectations. Who is influencing my expectations? So for me, that is how I'd really look into that, because pressure it's a very strange thing. It has the ability to break pipes or to make diamonds. It depends what you're made out of.
And who you apply it on.
Exactly.
Because some people can receive it differently. Some people don't work well under pressure. Others may.
And someone said to me,
interpret it differently.
Yeah. Someone said to me that your true self comes out in pressure. Like in pressure moments, your true self will come out. So, I always look at it like, preparation is very, very key. If use an example of, falling short on rent. If you know that you're in a job where there's a likelihood to do that, how do you cut costs in other areas? Maybe you don't go out and eat as much. Maybe you cut down on the dates. Maybe you don't buy those luxury items that you were buying when you were having a surplus. So it's that preparation, I think, is very, very key to manage expectations.
The way I was looking at it, or the way I've looked at it from my perspective, is that when it comes to meeting someone, you're dating someone, you take your time to get to know them, you see where their mind's at, their aspirations, their ambitions. And for me, it's the kind of thing where if I've come across an individual, her aspirations aren't in line with mine, there's going to be a disconnect there. Because if I'm trying to get to a certain level and my partner wants to remain at that level or she's happy where she is, it's not going to coincide. So my thing is, take your time, speak to your partner, and if you can see, and you know, I don't want people to make excuses for me. I don't want to, I didn't know. I'm sure you had an indication at some point that this guy was not going to be able to fulfill and meet your expectations. For example, as Ope used for the example for the rent, look, I cannot give you £500 a month. Let's find somewhere that's £700. Then I can give you the 350.
Outside of London. Where are you going to find that? Sometimes you have to be realistic.
But that is realistic.
But where? And we've got a family, so we're going to put a family in a room.
Then maybe you should think about starting a family when you're ready to start a family. So you want me to go and get another job just so I can give you an extra £150 for a house?
So if you're struggling now, in this early stage of this marriage, we've got a young family.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
You're struggling now. You want us to move into a bedroom. Yeah? And you cannot sacrifice for your home that you've created enough to go and get a second job to push yourself or maybe train yourself or however to grow. I don't understand how you can say.
Okay, let's pick some points. Let's pick some points that you've just made. So you're saying for us to start our family.
Well, the family's already started.
So why is the family there? Why is the family there, but we can't put a head over the house? The family's there, but we don't have a house that we're going to raise them. Secondly, you want to improve yourself. Are you going to improve yourself overnight? When I'm training, who's covering the bills?
That's fine. But the woman has to see some fruits.
But this is the thing. How quickly are you going to see these fruits?
No, that's the same.
So then for how long are you willing to be the person taking care of the household while he's getting ready?
As long as the woman sees the man is progressing, she's going to wait. If she sees him not progressing, she's not going to wait. She's not.
Okay, cool. Cool. I don't believe that to be the case, but it's their own. I mean, like, there has to be a level of reasoning and logical thinking. I can't be with my partner. We're starting a family, but I haven't got a roof for my family to be in.
You need to know what you're saying is going to stick.
Absolutely.
So at the outset, you need to communicate. Like, this is what not everything, but just these are my intentions. And, this is the kind of vision I have. Even if it's just working with young people, I want to elevate in business. I want to be a consultant, those kind of things that the dreams that you have, so that throughout the course of the relationship, your wife will now be observing you. So she'll be looking to see if you're making, changes and moves to get to the level that you said you wanted to get to. And if you're not, they expect the pressure. As we said, the pressure can be positive and it can be negative. And if you're the kind of guy that you want to be a man of your words, then during that pressure, you will become the person that you said you wanted to become. Obviously, that's why you're with that woman in the first place, because you know that she's going to help you reach your goals, reach your ambitions. So it's important to have that kind of the communication, the expectations from your discussions to make sure that those expectations are met. It's important to have that in place.
I agree.
But yeah, if you don't have that and you're just kind of aimless in your relationship and it's just like, oh, but you said this, but there's no basis, and you don't see him moving to where he wants to be. And if you're not married, you don't even need to be in that relationship. Like, let's be real.
Married.
Okay, well, that's different.
Shouldn't you know this before you get married?
Am I naive in thinking that?
You know what? I'll be real with you.
Sometimes you don't.
You don't know, man. You seriously don't know.
Because when you get married and you're living together, everything is in the forefront. Your weaknesses, your inabilities, your strengths, everything. Do you get what I'm saying?
You can't hide.
So exactly, you can't hide. So now all that talk that you were doing when we were dating,
this guy.
I promise you the word. Trust me. Nah, I feel you.
And you know what? I love that example because I think finances is one of the things that makes or breaks relationships.
100%.
I think it's probably one of the key reasons why a lot of people get divorced now. It's not necessarily that you don't have the finances. I think it's the mismanagement of finances, whether it's the expectations or the resources that you already have. But I think the key thing there is, P mentioned one person contributes 5, 100, another person contributes 500. But I think that concept is quite flawed. It should be, we have £1,000. Mm-hmm. Like, this is our pot.
Thank you so much for coming, guys. Thank you, Yemi. Thank you, Akin. Unfortunately, we weren't able to conclude because the topic was obviously so tough. But feel free to comment below, guys, and subscribe. Have a good day. Bye.